Hi, and welcome back to Rio and Friends. Today we have three amazing women who live here in the UAE. They are single parents, be that through divorce or losing a loved one. We're going to get straight to it and find out a little bit more about them. Thanks, ladies. Welcome to the show. How are you all today?
Good, thank you.
Good. So I want to get to know all about you, who you are, how long you've been in the UAE, and your current setup now. Camilla, would you like to go first?
So my name's Camilla, I'm 42. I've been in the UAE for nearly 17 years. I'm divorced since last year, and I have 3 children. I have 2 girls who are 12 and nearly 11, and a son who's 5. So yeah, that's me.
Emma?
I'm Emma. I've been in Dubai for 11 years now. So I separated from my husband in September 2023. We co-parent our lovely son Enzo, who's 3, and our chocolate Labrador, who's 8. So she gets co-parented as well.
I'm going to need some tips from you soon, because we're thinking about getting a dog, but we'll get to that. And yourself?
I'm Seema, and I've been in Dubai on and off since I was 21 years old. I'm 37 now, so very long time. I am a single mom to a 6-year-old boy. His name is Lucas, and we recently got a dog as well. And I am a widow. I lost my husband to brain cancer in December of 2021.
Okay. So first of all, hats off to all of you ladies. I can't imagine. And I follow you all on social media. You're very inspiring to me personally. I grew up in a single parent household, so I saw what my mum went through. So let's get straight to it. When you did find yourself in the single parenthood kingdom, what was the initial reaction from your friends, your family? Did you feel that you had a support network here in the UAE, specifically being an expat? Did you feel supported?
I don't know, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because it came around a couple of years ago. So I was separated for a year before the divorce was finalised. So it's been a few years now. I don't think it was a massive surprise to a lot of people. I think I'd spoken to my friends about being unhappy and, you know, not feeling like there was a way forward. But what struck me was that, and this is why I'm grateful to Emma, was that there isn't really a community of divorced women here. I think the trend is that if you separate or get divorced, a lot of women go home. So the ones that kind of stay, try to make it work, try to continue, it is a really hard journey. So for a lot of people, they prefer to go back to their families and go home. That wasn't really an option for me because I've been here for 15 years. Didn't really want to go home, and obviously my ex-husband is here, so we wanted to keep the kids together. There wasn't even a discussion, but yeah, I didn't really find, I mean, there is a solo mums group, but I found it quite negative.
Yeah.
A lot of women on there, and everyone just riling each other up and taking to the cleaners and men are this.
Yes.
I was like, oh.
Was this in single parent groups?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple which are pretty brutal.
Bit toxic.
You run one though, don't you? Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, but yours isn't toxic.
Yeah, so I launched the Single Parent Society at the start of this year, actually. I'm still very much getting it up on its feet. It's my passion project. I'm a full-time working mum in a very, very demanding career in my professional sort of day-to-day job. So this is something I'm doing on the side. It's something I'm so passionate about. Purely for the reason that Camilla just said, is when I became a single mum, and I do have the most incredible friends, but they're all married. None of them had been through, I didn't know any other single mums. And the groups that I was in and the conversations that I was having were they were just really negative, and I just thought there has to be a way forward, because I try my best, not always, but to try and see the positives in any situation that happens. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. I'm just starting now with some events. I've got hopefully a retreat coming up for single parents that want to join later in the year. So there's so many amazing and exciting things I want to do. So yeah.
I agree on that and what you mentioned. And in my case, where I knew that this was eventually going to happen and that I was going to end up alone and my late husband was going to pass away, I tried to join support groups here in the UAE, and I couldn't find any that had a relation to something that I was going through. Whereas back home, you would have those support groups where you find similarities of people that are going through something similar. And although I have an incredible supportive group of friends here, and they've genuinely become like family abroad because we're all expats, sometimes you cannot really vent or share in a way what you really want to think or say out loud, because they might take it in a way where we don't know how to help you, or she might be crying out for help and we need to save her. It's not saving, it's a more of a, I'm with you on this journey, I've been doing this, you know? So it has been a struggle to find that sense of, well, do I have people around me that are the same, that are dealing with this? And as you said, a lot of them, once the situation happens and you end up alone, oh, we're gonna pack up and go home. And especially coming from an Arabic background, they expect that, right? You're gonna go back to your parents' house. And it's like, no, my life is here. My child is growing up here. I want to stay here.
So I think you make valid points that, you know, when we go through these sort of things, whether it be, you know, a separation, losing a partner, a miscarriage, whatever it is, you want to reach out to people that get it, that understand, that, you know, it's all very well it's great having your support network and friends, you know, but to have people that understand what you're going through is incredibly important. So kudos to you for starting the group. I think you've all channeled your energies post your experiences into something. You've launched some books, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the books.
Just with the process of grief, again, I don't take it very traditionally. And with what you said about how you're trying to look at something positive and you do believe that everything happens for a reason, though it's very tragic, I didn't want to be labeled as the young widow, you know? Absolutely. Oh, poor, I don't like that. That does nothing for me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, you know, I'm fine. Like,
I'm fine.
I'm not sorry.
Exactly. I'm not sorry. It's true. I agree. It's horrible, but your sorry is not going to do anything. I appreciate it, but I don't need I don't want the pity. I appreciate the sympathy. I don't want the pity. So I started writing just little short poems, and I gave them to a close friend of mine. And she's like, why don't you turn this into a book? Because you never know. I work in education, so you never know. You do see a lot of children that go through any form of loss, whether it's death or, you know, a pet, whether it's a friend, somebody's moving away, someone they're not going to see so much anymore. So I wrote my first children's book, and I'm just about to publish my second one very soon. Yeah.
Congratulations. What's the book called? You're allowed to pimp your book.
So they're found on Amazon. Okay. So the first one is called With You Always. And the second one is called Mama, Where Is? And then the story goes into that.
Love that. Okay, I'm going to definitely look out for them. So what would you say were some of your biggest kind of emotional challenges in navigating single parenthood or societal? I mean, Camilla, when we had our pre-chat, you mentioned that you had your inbox was full when you opened up on social media a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite open on my socials, and I didn't want to kind of sweep this sort of thing under the carpet. I know I do follow quite a few people that I know are separated or divorced, and there's no clue. And I wanted to be open about it. So when I put a post up, I got a huge response. And what I wasn't aware about, and really it made me very sad, was the amount of pain there is out there, the amount of people that are dealing with something, who are going through a separation, going through a divorce, wanting to separate, in a bad marriage, domestic abuse, financial abuse, whatever it could be. People were saying, I'm jealous of you. I wish I could get divorced. I'm in a really bad space. Or, you know, I'm so in awe of you for putting it out there, because it's almost like taboo. And I'm a bit of a rebel. I don't really care about those kinds of things. Like, well, who are you to judge me? Like, 100%. At the end of the day, I don't care. If I'm going through this, I don't feel ashamed. I gave it a good go.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
I gave it my best, and I don't need to answer to anyone.
Very true.
Except for my kids.
Very
and
true.
I'll be ready to have that conversation whenever it comes up. But I had so many people just coming in my inbox, and I felt really sad. I was like, wow, there's so much hidden trauma and so much kind of pain that's going on silently that we don't know about.
We're not aware of, yes.
And then as soon as you see someone that you kind of look up to on social media, because let's admit it, we're all very connected these days on social, you immediately feel like you're not alone.
Yeah.
So
I had a lady come up to me in Waitrose the other day and just burst out crying and put her arms around my neck and was just like, thank you so much, you've helped me so much. She actually left me a voice note in my inbox, and she was like, I'm just at the start of my journey and you give me hope.
there you go.
And I was like, I started crying. I started crying in Waitrose. I was like, gave her like 3 massive hugs. And I was like, look, you're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. But it, you know, it would have been nice to have felt that at my journey, because I was completely like, you're on the precipice and you're like, what's next? What happens now? And you're just, okay, I need to just survive. And my best friend said to me, you're on a roller coaster now and you can't get off, and you just got to keep going, and I'll be there. And my friends have been there on that roller coaster, and just like, you're just going to ride it out.
Yes.
And
100%.
hold on.
100%.
We're here for the ride, baby.
We're
on the back with you.
I know.
It's so interesting you say that, because I remember probably 2 or 3 days after my separation, a really good friend of mine sent me a picture. It's actually one of my best friend's husbands, who's a really good friend of mine. They live here, and they're amazing, and I love them so much. And he sent me a picture, and he just drew waves like that. And he just said, you're on this now. He said, I just want you to know that you're in this wave, and there's going to be massive, massive highs at times, but there's going to be massive lows, and those crashes are going to be so big, and you're going to get yourself up a bit, and you're going to feel that boost, and you're going to be riding that wave up again, and you're going to think that you're at a good space again. This literally has been my life for the past 18 months. And then you're back down again, and you're like, oh my goodness, and you know, your mind is just so up and down. And sometimes, obviously, I started my account almost a year ago now, and when I started sharing stuff, sometimes I look back now what I shared, and I thought, my goodness, people must have thought I was losing my mind, because some days I was like, oh, I'm great and everything's good, and I'm completely over this, and the next week I was literally back to square one again. And that I always remembered that WhatsApp picture that he sent me, and I've kept it in my mind every single time I've had those low moments, because I just remember thinking, it's going to get better. And slowly but surely, what happens is those waves that in the beginning were like that, slowly but surely they kind of soften, you know, and towards the end you're now, and this is hopefully, I think where I am now, I'm kind of in a more even, kind of wobbling along. I'm in a much better headspace, but it's taken a long time, 18 months, I think.
It's a journey.
Shut up, Chi, what are you on about? And then I was like, no, it'll be fine. It'll all be sort of done and dusted, and 6 months, and then it'll be fine. And I was like, no, it has been 2 years. And I think if people are aware of that from the outset, knowing, okay, you're going to go through this couple of years, it's going to be dreadful. But as you say,
and I also think it really also depends on the situation as well. So like, there's a lot of people in my inbox who are in really abusive situations. So their time frame of recovery is going to be a lot longer maybe than someone that is a little bit more amicable. So I think it really varies as well, because with my situation, I was comparing myself, and I was thinking, 6 months in, why am I not feeling better? Why am I not starting to get over this and, just get my life back together? But I think a lot of it does come down to the reason why behind the separation or the divorce, and the story behind that, because that can also impact you in so many ways.
100%. Not every person is the same, and your personalities also affect how you take a look at things, and it's very true. Like with what you're saying and that wave, it's the same thing with grief, and they're like, oh, the 5 stages of grief, and you're gonna be, you're destroyed initially, even though you knew this was bound to happen. You're still never expecting, it's that moment of signing the paper. You're like, okay, I know it's going to happen, but when it happens, you're like,
okay, this is it,
oh my goodness, and it's still a shock no matter what. And it destroys you. As strong as you are, it destroys you. But like you said, like a group of friends where I'd be like, I don't want anyone to come over, and then I suddenly see the door open and everyone's in pajamas sitting with me, and that hidden, like, indirect, quiet support pushed me through. But it's true with grief, it's the same thing. You have your highs and lows, and you never know when it visits you suddenly. You think, I'm all right, and you are grieving a loss as well. You're grieving this partnership that you once had, and now it's gone, and you just don't know when that grief hits, because an occasion, a song, a sentence, a location, and you're like, oh my goodness, and then suddenly you're overcome with emotion. You're like, wait, but I thought I was fine. I thought I was in control, and it's a wave. It is a wave. It is a wave, but it's true. It does get better with time, because I once saw a thing, and it's like this grief that you're dealing with, whatever it is, the loss of something or someone, is this black circle, and then you slowly start to paint around it. And with time, it's always going to be there, but it's how you adapt with your life is the way you progress or choose to progress. And
I think like everyone has their, it's very nuanced, isn't it? Every circumstance is different, everyone's story is different. What always bugs me is coming from a single parent household, divorced household, is when people call it a broken family. And I've always really resented that, because I know that if my mum had continued on the trajectory of her marriage with my father, I would be a very different person, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
So she did the best thing for me, my brother, my family, and to see her flourish thereafter, go to university, fall in love again, be happy rather than be miserable, sad. Can you imagine like the impact that has on a child? Do you know what I mean? So I don't consider it as a broken family or a failure, although you might feel that way.
Outdated way of looking at it. I don't even know who invented that term. It's so offensive. Like,
I come from a broken family. I come from a fixed family.
It's like, and I had a comment from a teacher actually at my son's school not so long ago, and the comment was along the lines of, because he was having some issues with settling in, and it kind of suddenly started, and the comment was along the lines of, it must be your situation. And I was like, well, we've been separated over a year now, and my son has an amazing relationship.
Maybe it's just a 3-year-old.
Oh yeah, maybe it's just a 3-year-old, just having a couple of, and then the next comment was, I know, the next comment was then, it's just the energy in your home. And I was like, please come over to my house, because the energy in my home really is something beautiful, Yeah.
So do you feel,
well, safe to say it's not his teacher anymore.
do you feel that you face judgment? Like, did you get snide comments, or like, were people judgy, or?
I think people are judging.
Yeah.
I think people judge you no matter what. I know people judge my account, and I don't really care, because ultimately this is my story. No one knows what I've been through, truly. No one knows what process I've gone through. And I don't actually care. I do think people judge, absolutely. And I know they judge because I used to judge. And I know that sounds awful, but before I went through this process,
when you're in it, you change.
I did, and that's the truth. Like I never understood it, until
for the sake of the kids. Surely you could have tried harder, made it work, etc. I mean, as you say, it's your own story, and I'm in my era. I don't know if it's my age or whatever. I don't care. I don't care.
No.
I had someone up in my inbox yesterday. I'll tell you a bit later when you're talking about the romance, and saying, do you want to come have a look at these designer bags? Now you've got a sugar daddy. We howled. I was like, are you my sugar daddy? Nothing. Right, where's my, give me some money. But no, people make the most wild comments, don't they? And you're just saying, what is wrong with you?
100%. And in the sense of, she looks happy.
Like, God forbid.
It's too soon.
Do you know what I mean?
Is it too soon to be too happy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She's gone on holiday. Did I use your money to go on holiday?
Yeah.
oh, she must be doing okay. It's unwelcomed comments that are, oh, she only has one child, that one child syndrome, you know.
What happened? Or like, they want to know, like,
oh, you know,
ask what's happened.
yeah,
It's
what
like,
happened and
none
why, and
none of your business.
I have to go into the details, and like this, I haven't included that question because I don't think it's mine or anyone's business as to your marriage beforehand or what led up to, you know, the divorce, etc. But I did want to touch a little bit on the children. Yeah, and if any subject is off limits, please let me know. But just that is one thing that always I feel people, you know, try to make a marriage work, even though it is toxic or they're unhappy or whatever. I know your case is slightly different, so this is more towards the divorce. Navigating that with your children, having that conversation with your children, how did you deal with that?
I think it's definitely been harder for my older kids, my eldest especially. And if I could give advice to anyone,
what advice
is to do, like, if you do think that your marriage is headed that way, or you want to get a divorce but you're putting things off, it becomes a heck of a lot harder once they enter puberty. It's actually been proven, and psychologists have looked into it, because they're already aggy, they've already got the hormones, they're already angry, they're already like hate the world. So throw that into the mix and suddenly you become the world's worst person. And they've got another thing to get upset about. So my eldest was 10 when we separated, and she was already entering that sort of puberty hormonal period. And now my middle child's going there as well, but she took it a lot better. And my son was only 2, so he didn't really know what was going on. But, you know, for her, it's definitely hit her the hardest. I think having those conversations, I didn't do it the right way. I think it was very much a, you know, Daddy's not going to live here, and, you know, we're going to separate for a while, and maybe kept a hope that we would come back together when I knew we wouldn't. But yeah, it's a learning process. There's no handbook. No one tells you how to do it.
It is.
I had a few sessions of therapy, but again, it's 850 dirhams a session.
Yeah.
Unless you've got those kind of funds, it's really hard to, you know, justify, you know, going and sitting and talking to someone for an hour when I could spend that money on my kids.
100%.
So I just tried to be as present as possible, do as much stuff with them as possible, keep the door open as much as possible. You know, they would at times all come into my bed in the night, nightmares, kind of things like that. But I always just had that door open, and we're just our little unit, and just spend a lot of quality time. And this is one of the reasons that I went back to working for myself, was so that I could have the flexibility and the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it the right way. Don't ask me. I don't know what I'm doing.
What is the right way, though?
But there is no right way. You did what you thought was best at the time for you and your kids, and the way you explained it to them, and you're trying
the situation.
make understanding of it yourself. So good for you. And then you kept that transparency for them, and you allowed them to feel safe to come to me whenever you're not feeling okay. And they know that they can always run to you. So good for you. I don't think you've done anything. I think it's good advice.
Honesty as well. Like, I mean, my son, bless him, he was only 1. Just a few weeks before his 2nd birthday. Our separation was quite sudden. But again, he's so young, and kids are so adaptable that generally, I don't think he's been impacted. Like, he has an amazing relationship with me. He has an incredible dad who genuinely is a fantastic father. So he actually has, in my opinion, a better, you know, environment, because he's in a place now when he is with, whether he's with me or with his dad, and he's happy. And I know who knows what's to come. I'm also not completely naive that our situation or the setup isn't going to impact him in some way, because he will see the world very differently. You know, my parents have been together nearly 40 years, so I have a view on, you know, the world, and I had a view on the world growing up, which is probably going to be very different to what my son is. And sometimes I feel a bit sad about that, you know, that for him, this is normal. He probably doesn't realise just yet, because he's only 3, that actually, you know, other family or the thing is for them to, you know, he probably doesn't really understand that yet. And sometimes I do feel a bit sad that his, you know, vision of the world is maybe going to be slightly different. But ultimately, all that matters is that I'm happy, his dad's happy, and that he's happy, and whatever the setup is, that, you know, it really doesn't matter too much. It's much better than being in like you're saying, toxic environment, unhappy parents.
Yeah.
And his happiness is really my priority.
Lucas was almost 3 when he lost his dad. And again, honesty I was always transparent with him, even at a very young age. And I would say, you know, Baba has Wawa in his head, and it's a very big one, you know. And when he passed away, I told him, I'm like, Baba died and he went up to the sky. I didn't want to relate it to religion because we are in a Christian household. However, I didn't want to create that certain understanding where I hate God because he took him or anything like that. I just wanted him to make his own understanding of it slowly. And he did. And he proudly, which is funny, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Dark humor here, but it gets us through, you know. It's the way, you know, where he would be playing in school, and some parents would pass by outside the school, like from the playground. They could see parents or people walking by, and they're like, "Oh, is that your dad? Is that your dad?" And he's like, "No, my dad's in the sky." And the kids would go to the teacher and be like, "Why can't our dad fly too?" And I'm like, the teacher would cry, and I'm like, this is hilarious. Are you kidding me? I love this. You know, it's good, and it's his own understanding. But yes, like I did speak to therapists, and again, I tried to go to therapy because I developed severe anxiety from, you know, the disease and sickness and the worry and all the responsibilities, and it is too expensive, and they suck it out of you here. Like, let's not, you know, shy away from it.
Based in the UK, does online sessions.
There you go. That's the way.
This is the way to go.
That's the way. But his school counselors told me, they're like, there is a void. It's not a broken family. It is a different type of family, but you are a family. And like you said, happiness is important. He sees that I'm happy, and I ensured that it's okay. And yes, sometimes we're sad, and sometimes we might miss that dynamic, but it doesn't mean it might not happen again in the future. But for now, this is us, and it's okay. And she told me, you can never be both the mom and dad at the same time, no matter what your circumstances, and you have to accept that. So that was hard for me, but you know, and as he gets older now he's 6, and I sometimes see that, like, yesterday he told me, he's like, I wish you were a boy. And I'm like, I get it, you know. And I was like, why? And then he made a funny joke, and I'm like, okay.
Kids are brutal, aren't they?
Yeah.
I love Daddy more than you.
Yeah, you know. And it stings, but they don't mean it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever.
Exactly. They don't mean it, but sometimes they throw things, and because we overthink, because we're so worried about them, you know,
I don't know what.
It has its challenges, but they are very adaptable, and I feel like they thrive, and, you know, bless them.
I remember quite early on, and I did my best to keep emotions away from my son, you know, put on this sort of happy smiley face, because he was so young, and I just wasn't sure if he would understand it. But then one day, it was probably about 6 months in, I just had a really bad day, and I was really upset, just crying, and he came in. He said, "Mummy, are you sad?" I'm gonna get sad now. And he just said, "Mummy, are you sad?" And I said, "Yes, darling, I am actually. I'm having a bit of a sad day today." So he went into the kitchen and got some tissue for me and brought it in. And
I'm
sorry.
I'm gonna cry.
Sorry, but he's only like, you know, like 2 years old, but they really are. Yeah, they just know. And I know, compassion.
You know what? I think that's so important, Emma.
Yeah,
because
I know.
they need to see that we're also
human. Yeah, and that
it's okay
moment,
to
I
cry.
wasn't sure if I did the right thing, because I just said, "Yes, I am sad, darling. I'm having a really tough day today, and I'm feeling a bit sad."
Yeah.
And I remember I spoke to a psychologist about it a bit later, and like a few weeks later, and it's a friend of mine, was that the right approach? Because I don't want, you know, to scare him. I don't want him to, you know. And she was like, "Emma, that was the perfect approach."
Yeah.
She was like, you know, sadness is a very real human emotion, and that they're going to deal with it, they're going to see it, you know. And if you're saying, "No, actually I'm fine," they're smart, they know you're not fine. They see you crying, they see, you know, maybe your body language has changed, or your tone of voice has changed. They know that you're not okay. And for you to then say, "Actually, no, I'm fine," it's teaching them
to mask their own
emotion. So I'm always, even now on the odd day, if I've had a bad day, I'll always be honest, you know.
Well, I'm the same with my son now, like going through the perimenopause. I just tell him straight, I'm like, Mummy's hormones are out of whack. I'm a bit aggy today.
Mine. I'm sorry, I've got
Yeah.
PMT.
Yeah.
Just behave. It would really help.
My son's like, are you on your period, Mummy? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm going to Daddy
I love
then.
this.
I think it's so important.
It teaches them empathy, like even with my kids and my eldest, you know, if she knows I'm upset or struggling or whatever, she's like, Mummy, can I help you? Mummy, can I do, you know, what do you want? Like she can be quite prickly, a bit spiky, that one, like with all the hormones and whatever going on. But I think when they see real emotions, like they'll come and give you a cuddle, make you a cup of tea, come and sit with you, you know, cheer you up, bring you a flower. My son always brings me a flower from the park.
Same here.
Apparently they say because kids can't give you they can't give when a child brings you a flower, that's a massive thing.
Yeah,
I know.
it's sweet.
I literally
I love it.
with them every
Yeah.
And they're all mouldy and gross.
Yeah.
A picture from school. I get the same picture from after school club, which is the printout of the car with it all over it, and I get the same one every time. I just love it.
Cute.
Oh, bless them. So they do. So, okay, I want to kind of talk a bit of practicality now, because obviously just bear in mind that some of the readers, they might be going through the process of considering a divorce or losing a partner. They may have just lost a partner. How did you navigate? What's it like navigating the legalities of divorce and losing a partner?
I mean, like, there's a lot of woolly information, and I think it's because it all depends your nationality, your religion, where you got married, if you've got assets, if you've got kids, all the rest of it. To be fair, the courts are really straightforward. It's very, very easy. And it's not like the UK where it drags on for years and years and years. So I went to the court, they recommended a legal lawyer guy, he opened the case for me, and literally 4 weeks later, I got my stamp paper. It was easy because we were Christian, we were married in Cyprus, we didn't have any like joint assets, and we came up with an agreement. I wanted to do it all amicably. I did have a consultation with a lawyer, and she said, you know, if you want to go and get into sort of hearings and judgments and whatever, you can add 50,000 and another 50. And I was like, well, I've got that, so let's just make an agreement. And my mantra throughout the whole thing was, I don't want to financially cripple my ex, and I don't want to ever prevent him from seeing his kids. And I've spoken to so many women that are like, right, I'm not letting them see the kids until he's done this. How can I squeeze the most out of him? He's hiding money. I'm like, look, love, I don't want drama. I want peace. I don't want to get into battles and fights. It's just so unseemly. Like, just no.
And it affects the kids indirectly that they're not aware of that, you know.
It just gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
I just want it all kind of done and sorted. And thankfully, we managed to reach an agreement that we've upheld ever since.
Yeah.
And it was all done and rubber stamped and finished. But I know that's not the case for everyone.
No, it's not.
So I know if there's like properties and assets, and if there's been infidelity, or if there's been, you know, a lot of other elements can come into it that weren't the case for me.
In my case, it was an advice of a lawyer here that told me to, even his doctor, who told me, you need to make sure his finances are in order. And similarly, we were married in Cyprus, and he's Canadian and I'm Jordanian, and he passed away in Canada. So the process of documentation took a long time. However, I think this thing that actually saved me, and I give this as a piece of advice to everyone, whether you're very healthy, you're absolutely fine, or you're going through something difficult, you have to get your wills done. You have to. Yeah. This is my biggest takeaway from all of this, is that I went to my friends and I'm like, get your wills in order. And for people who are Muslims, because they don't do the will, if you have daughters, make sure, or if you're happily married, make sure that you have assets or properties or things that are under your children's names,
Right.
or else it mainly goes to the men, or it might go to the uncles, and then there's a whole battle there. And and if you don't have a will and you're a non-Muslim, you have to follow the Islamic law, which again is more about, you know, which is, I mean, it's lovely because it's about family and such. So if you're a non-Muslim, that law will still apply to you. If you don't have the Sharia law, will apply to you because you don't have a will to present to them. So under the Islamic law here, they have to follow the rules. It is quite simple. It is very easy. They're very straightforward. They're actually very helpful here, and they advise me. They're like, no, she was like, don't come here because I can only do it that way for you. You're an expat, you have a will, go to DIFC. There's an international court there for expats. You can get your stuff sorted there. And I was like, thank you, that is quite helpful, because back home things drag on forever, even in Canada.
So
oh my goodness,
Nicole.
you know.
Sister, don't cry.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, 100%. So, but it is important to definitely, if you are aware that you're going to be in a situation of separation, divorce, or death, God forbid, you know, you have to have whatever you can. You have to have your things in order. You have to. 100%.
I think likewise from the other side, women primarily here, I think in the UAE, really need to get their ducks in a row, even if they are in the most beautiful, happy marriages, because my inbox, probably similar to maybe some of the stuff you get, Camilla, is often filled with women in very desperate and sad situations who are trapped. And they're trapped because a lot of the time they maybe move here with their husbands. Their husbands are the provider. They don't work. They're on, you know, their visa. And these women are, in some cases, in tough situations, and they want out of a marriage for whatever reason. And one of the things I've learned, and I've actually been really shocked by, one, how many people message me in these situations, but two, how many women don't think that this is going to happen to them, or don't think that this is going to be a reality, because I think we spoke about it the other day, 50% of marriages end in divorce. I mean, I don't know what the rates are here. I don't know if it's different when you're an expat, but ultimately it can happen for whatever reason. And you need to, as a woman or even as a man, make sure you've got an exit strategy, I'd like to call it. You know, you've got a little pot of money that you can go and see a lawyer. You can have some guidance and advice. I have people asking me for advice, and I'm not a lawyer. I can give them some suggestions and some.
That might be a good event for you, for your community. Just do a partner up with a law firm and just have a kind of a free talk, chat.
They say, isn't it, the hand that feeds you can also starve you. So if you are reliant upon your partner for everything in that regard, and you don't have any income of your own, as much as it's lovely to, you know, be at home with the kids and be a homemaker, and we you know, be lovely, you are in a very vulnerable.
It does put you in a vulnerable
position. Especially as an expat, you know, because the rules are very different.
Visa's cancelled, medical's cancelled, I've booked a flight for you, off you go.
And it happens.
You need permission to be able to take the kids. You need permission to enter.
Travel ban.
Has it?
God,
Oh,
I
that's
believe
good.
In the past 6 months, the laws in regards to travel with women and children has changed.
Well, I had
That's
to
really
carry
good.
a letter. Do you carry letters?
I've never been asked, to be fair. I've never been asked. They've always been really amazing. I mean, I've been, like, they've asked maybe where my husband is, but they've never asked me to formally say that I've got permission. So I think it depends.
I take my my son's birth certificate with me when I travel, because again, he's Canadian and follows his father's passport. I'm Jordanian. And sometimes, even in Canada, when we go and in the airport, they're like, how do we know he's your son? I'm like, it came out of me.
Want proof?
I'm like, but I have. You know,
My kids don't know anything.
after
like me.
14 hours of traveling with a child.
So no, I am their mum.
Don't test me.
Her kid's mum when we were.
Hey.
Yeah, do you remember? Like, because I'm dark and they're dark, and she's like,
Yeah. I've got one chocolate, one caramel, one vanilla.
yeah.
They get lighter as they go along. The next one will be an albino.
But no, you're absolutely right, ladies. Like my mum, she always taught me growing up. She's like, Rio, whatever happens in life, doesn't matter who you can marry the richest man in the world, always have your own income. You know, and it's easy for me to say as a privileged British Western expat. You know, I know there are a lot of people from certain countries, they haven't managed to get an education, etc., and you know, they have an arranged marriage, etc. Not that all arranged marriages are bad, many are very successful, but I think the takeaway is arm yourself with the ability to make money, or to have savings, or to have a side hustle, whatever it is, so you can, as you say, protect yourself, go and seek that legal advice, you know, so you don't feel
just know where you stand, right? I think that's a lot of it, is people are just genuinely lost. They don't know what the steps are.
I wouldn't have been able to get divorced if I didn't have my own job, my own income, because I certainly wouldn't have got a settlement. And when I see what the ladies are asking for, what you're actually entitled to is pennies.
Wow.
Pence. And the ladies are like, want to maintain a lifestyle and they want to live in the big villa. I had one lady, you know, she's like, well, I need this villa and I need a car and I need that, you need to pay for the school fees and and I'm like, honey, you're asking for like 40,000-50,000 a month for him to support this life of yours. Plus then he's got to support himself.
Of course.
And she said, well, I haven't worked for 10-15 years. I'm like, well,
yeah,
maybe you need
time to get a job.
And it's a harsh reality.
Yeah.
But you need to have some sort of skill or something.
Yeah.
True. Something for yourself. Always. And it keeps you sane in a way as well, you know, and in touch with the real world. So I agree. It's hard, but
yeah. So okay, on to something a bit lighter. Let's talk dating as single mums. Love life. Does it exist? Are you thinking about it? Is it not a priority? Like, I'm interested. Camilla? Sugar daddy? Sugar daddy?
answers.
I mean, I think when you go through divorce, your confidence is really low. You think, well, that's all gone wrong and that's me done, and like no one's ever going to want me. Who's going to want to take on 3 kids? I'm old. Back in the day when I was 25, it was easy pickings. Now like everything's, you know, I've had 3 kids, like everything's gone a bit south. No one's going to look at me.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my experience at all, and it wasn't like I was out looking for it or dating or whatever. It's just I did get approached, and like my friends were like, you know,
did. I can vouch for it.
Yeah, she's 40 and she's got 3 kids, and they'd be like, so like it doesn't, like, I think if you're dating, especially in that age bracket, I think they know that most people in their 40s or late 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, they're going to have been married. They're going to have a family. They're going to have, you know, been in a long-term relationship or whatever, gone through a divorce. So it's not like they're expecting that you're 22 with no strings attached. They know the drill. Like it's pretty clear. And they've gone through that as well. So you've got a common ground already. And I think I wasn't out looking, I suppose, but when I met my partner, you know, we just really clicked. And I think when my confidence was absolutely rock bottom, and I just, you know, I was used to like the bare minimum or less than. And then he started being so kind and so nice and doing all these things. And I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know. Why are you doing that?
That's sweet.
And it kind of didn't scare me away.
Lifted you up a bit.
And suddenly I was like, okay, well, no, you do deserve that. My friends were like, no, but that's normal. I'm like,
You've not experienced it. I've been there through everything. So I know.
And I'm like, but why is he doing that? And he's like, well, because he likes you. Why is he ringing me 4 times a day? Because he likes you. I'm like, oh, okay, this is nice. So it builds up, it does build the confidence. But what I would say is like, don't ever think that you're like on the shelf or that like no one's interested, or like,
but that is the feeling that you get. Exactly, like, oh, who's gonna take me, you know?
And
dead husband, child.
It's full of gorgeous people that are all like, you know,
everyone looks like a Barbie doll over here with no, you know, no happy meals with her, you know, it's just a single,
like that.
you know.
I don't want the job. They like a bit of,
Yeah.
Anyway. No, but
The old men.
I think what was more important is that you know who you are as a person. You've been through like a trauma. You know what your values are. You know what, I'm really picky now. Like I don't, like most people just give me the absolute ick. I don't like, no thank you. And I'm just brutal. Like, no, you got no banter, you got no. So you kind of know, like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
This is what I don't want.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't want these red flags or this behaviour or this. And I've also walked away from a marriage. So I'm not scared to walk away if it
100%.
doesn't feel right.
100%.
So
if this is going to happen a second time round,
it's got to be right. It's got to work.
Yeah. I know what and what not. So
And I'm not risking my peace and my happiness and my contentment for anyone's dusty son like mistreating me.
I remember when my mum brought her boyfriends home and I would give them such a hard time, honestly.
God.
Sorry if any of you are watching.
Oh, you must have been a nightmare.
I was, because half of them were...
Thank me, your mum's trying to get laid and you're just getting in the way.
I do remember, actually, I met up with her
Ex-boyfriend, he was one of my favourites. He was in Dubai and we met up. He was always quite hot, by the way. I know. But anyway, we met up and he was like, I'll never forget the day, Rio, when you walked into the room and your mum and I were in bed. They weren't doing nothing. Walked in and I gave them a hard time or something, and my mum shouted, "This is about me today. This is my moment," or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, you'll never forget that.
Then you just gone down the park and left in privacy. God's sake,
Anyway, we won't put that in the show. Sorry, Mum. But yeah, Emma?
No, for me, I'm not in that place yet.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. Sorry,
it's quite fresh still.
It's still quite fresh.
Yeah.
And I'm really actually loving being on my own. And I never thought I would be one of those people that actually love my own company.
Yeah.
But I actually love it. And the thought of having another human that breathes near me constantly, someone's dusty son, it makes me feel a bit sick. Like, genuinely, I feel like I don't know, it's a bit weird. Like, I actually start to worry sometimes. I'm like, am I ever going to find another man attractive? Like, I'm just not in that headspace. No one I look at that literally. And I just think that my standards are so high now.
Yeah.
And men in Dubai,
don't meet them.
They're not, I don't know how high, you know, they can go.
Yeah.
So I'm just loving being on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I've just come back from a solo trip, my first time traveling solo.
Everyone's got to travel by themselves, guys, at one point in your life.
It's the best thing I've ever done. Best thing I've ever done. And I wish I'd done it when I was younger. I wish I'd done it before I was married. I wish I'd done it before I had a kid. But now I've done that, I'm like, oh my God, it's one of the best holidays I've ever had.
I bet, yeah.
You feel like you find yourself a bit, you know, and you come to realizations and things.
It's healing as well. Like, you know, I've been through a lot with my partner now, but I was really, really broken. And sometimes I say, like, I wish I'd met you later on when I was a bit more healed and a bit further along in my journey, because I don't have any confidence, and I'm still dealing with certain trauma and things going on. I'm still dealing with my kids, so it's been quite a slow burn. But you know, all that alone time, I spend a lot of time on my own because I work for myself. I work from home. I'm in my car, so I'm not in a busy office or anything like that.
But you can still go away on your own as well. So this is the thing, right? So when I posted about
time to plug the retreat.
Yeah, when I was posting about it, I had so many people messaging me. Actually, a lot of people that messaged me were not single mums. They said to me, Emma, is it? Honestly,
we're desperate to go away on our own on a retreat.
Me saying, is it going to be open to just single mums? And I'm like, well, I mean, that was the initial idea, but judging by my inbox, it's not going to be, because a lot of women want that break as well. And I also look back and I think, God, I wish I'd done a little bit more for myself during my marriage, and especially after becoming a mum, because we're all guilty of thinking that being a good mum is putting everyone else first, your child first, your husband first. Like, that's what we are trained to think, but that couldn't be further from the truth. And like, that's one of the things that I've learned, and a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to do with the community is actually focusing on you as a mother, or as as an individual.
It's okay. She always used to be like, oh God, you have to get your nails done again, and I'm like, yes, this is my time.
Cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, this is self-care.
important.
This is my therapy. And when I started to see her do it, I was like, yes,
yeah,
you know, you deserve it, you know.
I did read something really, really interesting that I wanted to bring up actually, which is called walkaway wife syndrome. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. So it's usually in the early 40s where a woman's got married, and like, as it happens, she takes on all of the mental laundry, the emotional load, raising the kids, sorting the house, booking the dentist appointments, making sure everyone's okay, and her well-being basically slips to the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
And she's invisible to her husband, doesn't appreciate what she's doing, fully taken for granted. And then she'll start like nagging, which is her cry for help, which is her saying, please help me, as if it's my job and you're helping me. So please help me pick up your socks, help me the dishes, pick up the kids, whatever.
Take the kids out for 2
Yeah,
hours.
take the bin out. And all he hears is, nagging. But that's her cry for help. And at the same time, he's not dating her, he's not complimenting her, he's not cherishing her, he's not giving her like, you know, the best of him.
Are also working full-time
Yeah,
jobs.
and she's holding down a job
normally
and juggling everything going on. So what happens is she reaches such a frustration, such a boiling point, that it all just boils over. And it's usually in the early 40s when you've been married about 10 years. You're just like, I've had enough. Like, no, thank you. I've had enough. I don't want this life. And she'll just go, right, boom, divorce. And he'll go, oh,
He's blindsided.
divorce came out of nowhere. And it's like, didn't really, did it, mate? If you'd have sort of looked back and sort of heard her cries for help, her nagging, instead of you just going, well, I'm off to the pub, you would have listened and realised that she was leading up to that point. And then she's already cried all her tears and done all her frustration and anger. And she goes off and flourishes into this butterfly. I was like, right, I don't need someone's dusty son, and I'm having a great time in my life and I'm not crying anymore. And he spends the next couple of years going, you know, I'm like, I've lost my wife and my kids and my family. And it's like, well, maybe you should have
paid attention.
I've seen it so much.
Yeah.
So fellas, listen to your wife when she's nagging.
See the signs, fellas.
Yeah. Because we never put ourselves first.
Oh, we don't. But we can blame the guys as well. But it is us. And this is what I think I have been guilty of in the past, is just allowing it. You know, not putting myself,
not setting the boundaries,
not setting the boundaries. So we have to also take accountability.
She's got boundaries like no one,
which is good. Which is
brilliant. Yeah, but I'm a people pleaser and I never had any boundaries. And that was friends, that was work, that was relationship, that was kids even. And now I'm just like really learning. And I'm like, yeah, show me again. Do it again. How do I do that?
I always said that, you know, God forbid if anything was to happen to Adam and I'd probably end up living in a commune with a load of cats and crazy women and their kids, to be fair.
I love that.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm not too sure if I could, you know, if I want to get into, I don't know. But like, how do you navigate that after losing someone?
Mark and I had a beautiful relationship together.
Yeah.
We really did. We were very happy, and our marriage was very short-lived because I don't know why, but this is the cards that we were dealt with. And initially, or throughout the phase of, you know, dealing with cancer, which was almost 3 years as well, it was a sense of survival mode. And even after the death, same thing, even after the loss, you're just in survival mode for such a long time, because that's the only thing I kind of got accustomed to. I have to be in survival mode. And at the beginning, I remember once I had a friend, a very close friend of mine. She was like, my mom, and her mom is a very religious person. And she was like, my mom said, I pray that she gets to meet someone as soon as possible. And I was offended, and I was like, oh, how could you say that to me? I loved my husband. What's wrong with you, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, my mom, who's super religious, is telling you that. And I'm like, and I dismissed it. And I was like, I never want to be with anyone again. That's it. You know, I'm done. I'm good on my own. I'm happy on my own. And then after a while, you slowly miss feeling companionship. I don't want someone to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to raise my son. They're welcome to help along, but they don't have to do the job. I do miss having someone check on me. Other than friends, I do miss having someone go out with me, romance me. Exactly. You miss that. You miss feeling feminine, you know, because you're the one running the show. You're the one paying the bills. You're the one doing everything. You're running the ship. You know, if you don't run the ship sinks. And sometimes it's like, it's not I want to take a back seat, but it's
I want to be looked after.
You just want someone. Yeah, it's so you do start to miss that, but I agree. Normal. It is normal, you know. And some people are, no, not before a year. Oh no, not before 2 years. No, and it's like, no, it's not your timeline. It's my timeline.
Yeah.
You haven't worn my shoes and walked in them. You have zero opinion.
Yeah.
That's how I think. Zero opinion. 100%. It's not your choice, you know. But I agree. It's not anyone. It's not anyone. 100%. You do become picky, and in maybe in my world, it's I do want someone who understands what I've been through. He doesn't have to have gone through the same exact thing. I don't want to say it would be ideal, but it would be meaningful because you have that connection of I know what you've gone through, but someone who's, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I don't know.
Thinking of event ideas for your community. This is the way I am.
I know.
Our market needs to do like a single parent dating night. Yeah.
I'm in touch with a company that are just about to launch here.
Oh.
And they do a lot of in-person dating. Like that's their whole thing. They're not an app. They just get people together. So yeah, it's on my radar. It's on my radar. So I'll keep you posted.
Because through this, I did get curious about single fathers as well. So I found a few. Actually, I'm thinking of doing my just a series on its own, just with single dads, actually, to get their
one
perspective.
One of the things I really want to tap into. I've not had chance really to focus on that, but I really want to get them involved as well. As much as possible.
I'll tell them about your community.
Because
but we're gonna start wrapping up now, ladies. I think we've had a wonderful conversation. Lots of takeaways for our viewers, and I've learned stuff as well. Perhaps how to be a better friend if someone's going through, what you ladies have been through. What have you learned from yourself? If this journey has taught you anything about yourself as an individual, what have you learned? And what advice would you give to women or men or anyone navigating your situations right now?
No matter how destroyed you think you are, you can always pick yourself back up again. It will take time. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. At one point, we all go back to rock bottom. We've all hit rock bottom in any form, but I think we've all elevated from that. And that's something I didn't realize I had the strength to be able to do that. But sometimes, your body, your mind, it comes to you, and you have to trust it and trust yourself and be like, I can do this. It's going to be hard, but I can do this. So, yeah, exactly. Speak kindly to yourself, always. Yeah.
Just give yourself grace, and give yourself time and trust the process. It is a process. And again, I'm 18 months down the line, and I still have days where it all gets too much, but just knowing that that's okay, and that you will overcome it, and you will start to get to a point. And I think this is where I am now, where I'm just so at peace.
Yeah, that's a good place to be.
I go to bed every night. I sleep perfectly. I never have any anxiety or heaviness.
That's amazing.
And that's a really, really nice place to be, because all of that energy only rubs off onto my son, and just know that place will come for you at some point, but it will be tough. Very, very tough. But just surround yourself with good people. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me.
It's important.
As an expat, I know we touched on this a little bit, but maybe from my side, it's been the biggest driver of me getting through this period of my life. If I hadn't had 4 or 5 of the friends that I've had next to me, I don't know where I will be. And actually, it's quite a scary thought. I really do not know how I would have got through this period of my life. And I literally owe them
family,
everything.
Don't they? They're family. We need them.
Yeah.
But more than family.
literally, I just did a post about this earlier, and actually when I was doing it, I was actually getting emotional thinking about it, because I actually think I have a better support network here than because I've been here 11 years. Most of my adult life has been here. So back home, same. I've got a couple of great friends still back home, and obviously my family, but like in terms of like strong network, it's here. And I'm just so thankful for them. And I just think if you don't have that, come to one of my events, come and, you know, reach out to other, because there's people that I want to meet as well. And there's so many people, don't be lonely. And there's, you know, even if it's not mine, it's one of the other community groups, like people want to help. And that's one of the things I see, like even some of the other Facebook groups, when people post about it, just some really lovely, kind people offering help and support. And I don't think you'd get that. You wouldn't get that in your home country.
The community do rally around each other when we
really
meet each other, don't we?
It's really, really lovely.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I am really fragile. Like, I've become quite brittle. Like, I used to be quite strong, career woman, tough, like nothing. I never cried ever. Now I cry all the time. So like, and little things will set me off, and my confidence is really low, but it's building back up. But I remember at the start, I used to feel a lot more grounded in nature. So I would go to the beach or sit in my garden or go to sustainable, whatever. I remember swimming in the sea because I just found it really calming. I'm just like, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. Like this, I'm just like telling myself, like, you're gonna get through this, it's gonna be all right. And then just trust the process.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get there.
Trust the process.
It's hard. It's a lot harder than I ever thought, ever.
I actually think that divorce is almost romanticized, you know, like in movies or Hollywood. It's like, you know, the latest, it's like so dramatic, isn't it? And having been through this now, I'm like, oh my goodness, like all of those people that have gone through that have probably gone through something similar I've gone through. And I truly believe, I think it's one of the hardest thing as a human you can go through, especially when you've got children and young children, because you're not just grieving the loss of your marriage, you're grieving the loss of what you thought your future was going to be and what you had planned. And, you know, for me, future children, and, you know, I was 33 when we separated. It's really young.
Still really young.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Like I said, the dusty sons in Dubai aren't doing it for me.
Let me see if Tim's got any mates. He's a bit older, but you know, that's fine. Sugar daddy. We're all right.
She's the ambassador for the older dude.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the untapped pool. Like, people think like 40s, but 40, no.
Any applications, send them in to WeShare.
But they're like more settled. They've been through it all. They don't stress about anything. He's been through divorce. He's been through teenage kids. He's been through it all. So he's just like, don't worry about it. It's all fine. And I'm like, I stress about everything. That's so cute.
There you go. So we end on a high note. There's hope. If you want it. If you want it, that is. Some people are quite happy.
It's not all bad, is it, girls?
No.
No, we'll get there.
No.
It's all right.
But listen, thank you so much for your time, for your insight. I really, really appreciate it. And, you know, the whole point of this show is I want to bring topics that people don't really kind of talk about, that don't get enough airplay.
Yeah.
And just have there's a lot of things I want to talk about that I know I can't talk about here, but we'll leave that for, I don't know. Oh God. But if you enjoyed the show, please make sure that you like, share, and leave a comment below. Until next time, see you later.